Hey, truth seekers, welcome back. Zach here. It's March 25th, 2017. The Elite Eight, the final eight teams for the men's college basketball tournament are set. I want to talk to you real quick about a highlight moment in the Sweet 16 between Xavier and Arizona. I want people to understand that these games truly are scripted at the collegiate level. And when you know the language of gematria, you can see through the scripting. We're also going to talk about what lines up with the Carolinas and the championship being on the 93rd day of the year. The University of North Carolina won the college men's championship in 1993. This year we saw the South Carolina team. Their head coach got his 93rd win, winning with 93 points. We pointed out then, that's a big tribute. The championship's on 93. Before this tournament even began, I said I expect some big tributes out of the Carolinas. We very well could get a South Carolina, North Carolina Final Four. If that happens, I'm pretty sure North Carolina would win. But anyhow, we're going to talk about that and more. We're going to begin with what happened at the end of the Xavier-Arizona game. This was a classic example of tanking. Arizona purposefully lost at the end of the game. They were up 6 points with 2 minutes left with the ball, and what they did was rushed down the court and fired up long-range shots for no reason. You're up 6 points, control the ball, make them foul, add points, eat time. Instead, they rushed down the court, fired up shots, and gave up their lead and lost. That doesn't make sense. These are the best basketball players in the country. This is what they do. This is what they've done. You can't say it's nerves. You can't say it's young ignorance. It just doesn't make sense. I mean, if you're 12 years old and you're good at basketball, you know not to do that. So, anyway, we're going to talk about what was so beautiful about the scripting of the Xavier-Arizona finish and its major parallel to Villanova winning the college championship last year by the numbers. If you've missed my work on this year's tournament and last year's tournament, please check it out. I got a number of videos. All of this information is interrelated. So let's talk about this. Arizona had a 6-point lead with 71 points. 71 to 65. They could not get over 71. And if you're new here, before the tournament began, I explained why 71 would be a very crucial number in this tournament. The tournament was announced on the 71st day of the year, March 12th. They call this tournament March Madness. In the language of gematria, March Madness sums to 71. The March Madness original field, when it was named in 1985, had 64 teams. And by the way, with this being named in 85, basketball has gematria of 85. Last year, Villanova won by the numbers, the first time since 85, winning 31 years later. And then that came before the NBA playoffs and NBA finals, where 31 became the number. The Warriors came back from 3-1. LeBron came back from 3-1 at age 31. All things I talked about before it even happened. So anyway, 71 is very important to the Catholic Church. Pay attention to where so many of these players came from. So many of them went to Catholic and Jesuit high schools. The Jesuits are the Masonic order within the Catholic Church. Last year, Villanova, the Catholic school, won in accordance with the Jesuit Pope Francis, leaving on the Jesuit order's birthday. Perfectly synced up in numbers. This year, there's a lot of hype for Gonzaga, the Catholic Jesuit school, and they're about to face Xavier, the Catholic Jesuit school. Catholic is 71-35, just like Gonzaga. Xavier, which is a Catholic Jesuit school, has gematria of 79, and this year is the 79th year of the men's tournament, which began in 39. 79th year. So anyway, 71, crucial number. Now look at what happened here at the end of this game. Arizona was hung up on 71. It was a tie game, 71-71. This big man for Xavier in the dark blue jersey, what just happened is he got an inside pass and got an easy lay-in inside. Made the score 73-71. Whoever the shot clock keeper was stopped the game clock right at 44.1. And they have leeway. They could have stopped it somewhere else. Now here's the thing to notice. The score is 73-71, a sum of 144 points. Last year, when Villanova won the college championship, their point guard was in an NCAA record 144th straight basketball game. And that championship was on April 4th. And Villanova won in the Final Four, beating Oklahoma by 44 points, a record. So notice on the screen, we have 73-71, a sum of 144 points. And we also have that 44.1 seconds, the reflection of 144. Just so you know, the square root of 441 is 21. 21 times 21 equals 441. The square root of 144 is 12. 12 and 21 reflections of each other. 144 and 441 reflections of each other. Anyhow, let me connect these numbers in a greater understanding. We're talking about the Jesuits, the Catholics. If you write out Catholics, 71. If you write out 71, it sums to 144. There's only one other number that's this way, and it happens to be 44. And we spell 40 that weird way in English. There's no U in the 40, even though logically it seems it should be there. This is why, because the language is based on gematria. 144 is a very special number. So 44, 71 sum to 144. Jesuit order has gematria of 144. Gonzaga, Xavier Jesuit schools. Last year, the Catholic school Villanova won, synced up with the Jesuit Pope's departure from the country on the Jesuit order's birthday, September 27th. Society of Jesus is the full name of the Jesuit order, 191. Notice also the 79, and here we are in the 79th year of the men's tournament. Again, Xavier, 79, the Jesuit school. We have a Jesuit versus Jesuit Elite Eight, Gonzaga, Xavier. So on this website, you can do date durations. You can check all this work. I know it's 100% correct. September 27th is the Jesuit order's birthday. Pope Francis is the first Jesuit pope. He left the United States of America on September 27th, 2015. Villanova won the college championship a span of 191 days later. Do you see this? The total right here, 191 days. 191 days after the Jesuit Pope, the Society of Jesus. And he left through Philadelphia. Villanova went on to win the college championship in accordance. 44 is also very relevant to the Jesuit order. Something to know about the name Jesuit, it has gematria of 84, just like Arizona. Xavier advanced over Arizona. The number 44, if you take the numbers that divide into 44, the divisors, they sum to 84. 44, 84, special pairing. There was a 33-day pope. He died September 28th, 1978, a date with 44 numerology. The word kill equals 44. Arsenic equals 33. People suspect he was poisoned with arsenic. The 33-day pope, his last day alive was the day of the Jesuit order's birthday. And everyone suspects he was killed with arsenic, that pope. So anyway, appreciate this again. You know, look at how this is. How it comes together so magically. The 144 tribute, just like we saw last year. Big Jesuit salute, Jesuit Catholic school. Let me take you back to last year. If you have not seen my videos on last year, just real quick, this game, did I put it in this screenshot? You can go back and watch. Here it is. The game last year was tied 74-74. This is the championship with 4.7 left. And if you watch my preview, I talked about why these numbers were relevant to the game, 74 and 47. I was talking about how it was a big tribute to the Jesuits, the Society of Jesus. Jesus equals 74. Villanova ended up winning with 77 points. Christ equals 77. This year we saw Jerry Krause, the Bulls general manager who won all of his championships with Michael Jordan. We saw him drop dead at age 77 at the beginning of the tournament. And with regards to North Carolina, where Michael Jordan played, just remember North Carolina has that gematria of 77, like Christ. Last year, they got martyred for Villanova. And again, we're going to be talking about how the championship's on the 93rd day of the year. Crucifix 93. God's Sun 93. They tell us the sun in the sky is 93 million miles away. To the occult, Saturn is the keeper of time. In the Kabbalah cipher, the word time has gematria of 93. Special number 93. Again, North Carolina won the championship in 93. South Carolina, their coach's 93rd win. In this tournament, they got it with 93 points. Championship on the 93rd day of the year. Anyway, last year, 74-74 with 4.7 seconds left. Look at this. Christian has gematria of 47. Interesting that Christian is 119 in ALW. Vatican also has that gematria of 119 and 47. The central headquarters of the Catholic and Vatican Catholic Church, where the Pope resides. Did you guys see the score this year of the Gonzaga game? What Gonzaga won their score with? We'll get to that in a second. But I just want to make sure you got everything here. Xavier winning 73-71, a sum of 144 points, taking the lead with 44.1, 8 straight points to advance to the Elite 8. They were down 6. With regards to 73 points, Xavier will face the Gonzaga Bulldogs next. The Gonzaga Bulldogs are next up. Gonzaga Bulldogs have gematria of 73 as well as 71. Again, the Catholic number, the March Madness number. This year, the bracket came out on the 71st day of the year. And sorry if I'm being repetitive. I just know a lot of people struggle to keep it all straight, so I'm just trying to say it as many times as I possibly can without being too annoying. If I'm annoying you, I apologize. On the way to Xavier winning, I noticed that they scored 35 in the first half. Just in case you didn't catch that, Catholic also shares the gematria of 35. In the history of the U.S., there's only been one Catholic president, the 35th JFK. Gonzaga has that 35-71 thing going. Xavier's going to face Gonzaga next. At Arizona's loss, Steve Kerr was there, who coaches the Golden State Warriors. Last year, he returned for the Warriors' 44th game of the season. Bill Murray was also there, the big Cubs fan. What was interesting about Bill Murray being there for the Sweet 16 is this is Xavier. Bill Murray was cheering for Xavier in their upset over Arizona. This is Xavier's 96th season. Thought I had this in the post. Yeah, there it is. Bill Murray, there for the Sweet 16. Special year for Xavier, their 79th season, the men's tournament's 79th occurrence, Xavier 79. Murray equals 96 in gematria, just like 16, and Xavier, in their 96th season as an 11 seed, has made it to the Sweet 16 and won. Is that where the story ends for the 11 seed? We'll see. Could they upset the number 1 Gonzaga? Maybe. So just wanted to document that. Again, last year, I guess I forgot to get that up on the screen. Last year, in the championship, which was won by Villanova. There's just so many things I want to blurt out, True Seeker. There's so much information. The point guard, where is he at? This man, Ryan, oh, I still can't say his name, Arcia DeCono. He was 22 years old. Basketball has gematria of 22, so does the name Ryan. Last year, it was written about how he was in his record 144th straight game. Sorry if that's small, but it's right there. He will play his 144th straight game. That was for the college championship. Villanova had just won by 44 points. You know, last year was a leap year. They won with 95. The championship was on the 95th day of the year. See if I got it all up here. Yeah, go back and watch my work from last year. There was so much mind-blowing stuff. I mean, if you know my work, you know about 223. Let's see. Do you remember the train story outside of Philadelphia where Villanova was? A train hit a backhoe. Backhoe had this gematria of 79, like champion. Villanova not far from the train wreck. At the beginning of the tournament, there was a train wreck in Kansas. Villanova knocked off Kansas. In the NBA, a year earlier, there was a train wreck in Philadelphia, synced up with the NBA Finals, which the Warriors won. The Warriors originally from Philadelphia. You know, Steve Kerr now coaches the Warriors, originally from Philadelphia, where the Jesuit Pope departed on the Jesuit order's birthday. See my work on the death of Steve Kerr's father when he was at Arizona. Very suspicious. But anyway, getting off the tracks, speaking of train wrecks, there's a few more things I wanted to show you. The name of that point guard, his full name has the same gematria as Villanova, as Big Smooth, who won the championship. I thought it was in this post. Oh, here it is. It's because I typed it all out, so it wasn't popping out. In gematria, the Pythagorean method, his name sums to 108. Villanova, using the alphabetic order, 108. I can just show you real quick on the calculator. Check it out. Reduced 108. That number was huge in sports last year. You know, the Cubs broke their 108-year drought. Coastal Carolina, Chanticleers won the college championship. But anyway, Villanova also 108. And Big Smooth, who hit the game winner last year, 108. This man also had name gematria of 78, and it was the 78th tournament last year. You know, if he just did his first and last name. 144th straight game on April 4th. I mean, and what else I just caught there that I almost overlooked is, look, he even had the 93 connection going on. It's just mind-blowing. Last year, we weren't aware of this reversed reduced gematria. They won by 44 on the 93rd day of the year last year, April 3rd. Or no, is that right? Is that right? Do they play the Final Four game the day before the championship? Maybe it's 2 days before. However, now that I think about it, last year was a leap year, so last year, April 2nd was the 93rd day of the year. Maybe it really was that way. So anyway, that's not we're getting off the tracks, like I said. There's just so much knowledge to share, and I want to share it all. But look at this. Gonzaga gets their 35th win of the season. Catholic 35, Gonzaga 35. They beat West Virginia 61-58. Freemasonry 58, Secret Society 58. I forget, the Catholic Church has a connection to 58, but 61. 61 is another number connected to Jesus. Jesus 61, Cross 61, Christian 61, Christmas 61. So much 61. Think about John in the Bible, 61. Think about church, 61. Gonzaga, symbolic win, 35th win of the season, 61 points. You know? What are the odds? 119 total points. Kansas won with 98. Kansas is the 34th state. The championship is on April 3rd, which can be written 3/4. That 98 points is really interesting because Jayhawks equals 98. Should check who won the college championship in 98. But big win for the Jayhawks. One of the people who follows my work for a year, he found me last year. He's been doing a lot of decoding, and he showed how a lot lines up for Kansas. He could be right. He's got Kansas to win the championship. We talked about Xavier, Arizona. Michigan, Oregon stood out in a big way. What I wrote about before this game was played, see if I can find the post here. This was before the game was played, my preview. I talked about how Michigan had the plane crash on the runway story from March 8th. We've seen this in sports with teams that have lost. Oregon in Gematria sums to 38, and from March 8th to the date of the game, Michigan-Oregon was 15 days later, March 23rd, 15 equals 38. Just show you real quick. Oregon 38, the same method. Oregon was the first team to ever win the college basketball championship. So 15 days after the 3/8 plane crash, coming off the runway, coming off the path, they lost to Oregon. And they lost 69-68, which is a sum of 137 points. Remember, 137 is the 33rd prime. Oregon's the 33rd state. Oregon abbreviated 33. Oregon is the only state with a simple English gematria of 74. And remember, Jesus equals 74, cross 74, gospel 74, Messiah. Think about Jesus on the cross at 33. Only the 33rd state, Oregon, sums to 74. We're talking about all this Christian symbolism. It's bigger than basketball. It's because the people that run this world, the New World Order, the Illuminati, they control a lot of things. Government, religion, media, entertainment. They control the things that control the minds of the masses. And they've built their systems of control the way we know them by the numbers. This whole English language. English, gematria, which is a Jewish Masonic practice. You see? Special numbers here. And Freemasonry, what runs the world of sports. We were talking about how 137, the sum of the scores, the 33rd prime. Remember, the original Oregon College, before they were the Ducks, were the Webfoots, and they beat Ohio State in the first championship with 33 points. And champion also has that gematria of 137 as well as 79. You know, when you look at this coding, it admittedly can get confusing. You know, you see numbers stacking. The riddles are deep, and you have to have enough clues and evidence to pick the correct winner. But if you see enough history and repetition, you can see, you know, what is being foretold. We'll get to my initial gut instinct, the first thing I wrote about the men's tournament and why I thought North Carolina might win it, and that very well might happen. But these were the first day of games for the Sweet 16. We covered those. I think we got that. Now let's cover the second day. UCLA, who I really thought was going to play North Carolina. UCLA, I see the riddle of them now losing in the Sweet 16. We were talking about how the June 1st, 2016 shooting at UCLA, remember the false flag? We were talking about how that came the day before the NBA Finals. That date can be written 1/6 or 6/1. Finals in gematria equals 61. Here, just so you can appreciate this. The NBA Finals equals 61. The Lakers have won 16 NBA championships. If you write out 16, it sums to 33, just like NBA Finals. UCLA's won 11 college championships, the most in college basketball history, in tournament history. The day before the NBA Finals, this UCLA shooting, we're talking about a basketball city. UCLA's won 11. The Lakers have won 16. Only the Celtics have won more with 17. 16 plus 17, 33. NBA equals 17. Massachusetts. When spelled correctly. What am I doing wrong here? I can't spell today. That's funny. I guess Massachusetts is spelled that way. Massachusetts is 33. Think about number 33, Larry Bird. Also, Boston. Look at the gematria. 22, 31, 85. Same as basketball. We're getting off on another tangent. But anyway, last year, June 1st, UCLA shooting. I knew it had everything to do with basketball. I said the day of the shooting. This is a tribute also to the Minnesota Lakers. Go back and watch the video. The next day, the breaking news was that the killer at UCLA had traveled from Minnesota. And I said it the day before. I said they've also got Minnesota in here because Minnesota's the original home of the Los Angeles Lakers. It's why they're called the Lakers. Minnesota's the land of 10,000 lakes. Notice the sum of the scores. 75 to 86. That's 161 points. 161. I was just thinking about the way you could write the date. June 6th, 2016, 1/6/16, the date that false flag happened. UCLA scored 33 in the first quarter, 42 in the second. North Carolina, I've expected to go far in this tournament, possibly even win it. They won the tournament in 93, which was the 92-93 season, you know. South Carolina, ever since they won with 93 points, getting the coach's 93rd win. Pretty sure that was in the round with 32 teams. Could have been the first round with 64. I have to go back and look. But when they got that win, that story, I said, okay, that's big because this year the championship's on the 93rd day of the year. I was talking about Donald Trump, his big success in the Carolinas, Donald Trump being a Jesuit. Donald Trump won huge in the Carolinas in the primaries. He gave his victory speech about how he'd win the presidency after that. He said he'd defeat Hillary Clinton and build the wall. Anyway, he's a Jesuit like the Pope. Last year, Jesuit tributes, the Carolinas. I thought very well we might see the same thing this year, and we are a step away from a South Carolina, North Carolina Final Four. If they both lose in the Elite Eight, I don't think that's going to happen. But if they do, you know, Trump, which is definitely a big part of this Carolina representation. Just remember that Trump is 88. Here they are in the Elite Eight. I suspect they'll both win and meet in the Final Four. To me, it makes a lot of sense in light of what's going on. All right, so let's wrap this up, and I'll talk about what I expect for the Final Four. Again, North Carolina. A lot lines up for them this year. The first thing I wrote about the men's tournament was how the championship's on April 3rd, the 93rd day of the year. UNC won in 93. Think about the alumni of North Carolina, Michael Jordan. He had a big year in 93, winning his third straight NBA Finals. Former Tar Heel. Also, in gematria, Tar Heel sums to 43. The championship's on 4/3. Doesn't mean they'll win for sure, but that was the first thing that really stood out to me. Plus North Carolina basketball dynasty team. Michael Jordan, the alumni, is currently 54 years old. Went from North Carolina to the Bulls. He turned 54 February 17th. From his birthday, his 54th birthday, to the game, April 3rd, is 45 days, and he's 54 years old. Here's something I know about this study for paying attention for as many years as I have. They say the sun is 93 million miles away, right? And sun has this gematria of 54. Michael Jordan, 54. North Carolina, chance to win the championship on the 93rd day of the year, while Jordan's 54, 45 days after his birthday. If you write out 45, it has gematria of 54 and 45. If you write out 54, 54 and 45 as well. With regards to the Bulls, Illinois has gematria of 45 and 54. And we just saw Jerry Krause, former GM for the Bulls when Jordan was winning his championships. Jerry Krause was there for all 6 of them. Jerry Krause dropped dead at age 77. And he dropped dead on March 21st, 21/3. The NBA Finals, what he's remembered for winning, 2-1-3. Dropped dead at age 77. North Carolina, 77. When you write out 77, it sums to 49, like Chicago Bulls, like Washington. Jordan finished his career with the Wizards in Washington, D.C. There's that ongoing riddle with the Warriors and the Bulls. The Warriors eclipsing the Bulls and Jordan's win record last year. Go back and check out that work. There's a whole lot more to the story. But anyway, these are just the things I've been documenting and putting the pieces of the puzzle together. So I won't be surprised at all if we see North Carolina in the championship. And with that in mind, here's what I wrote about last year. Last year I predicted North Carolina would be in the championship against Kansas. Instead, they faced Villanova, who beat Kansas, and then beat North Carolina. And that was because I overlooked Villanova's Philadelphia connection, being outside of the city. Anyway, if North Carolina defeats Kentucky this year and Kansas defeats Oregon, those two teams will face each other. The head coach of North Carolina, a man who has the right name for championships, he'll be facing his old Kansas team. He used to coach Kansas before he coached North Carolina, which is part of the reason I thought they'd meet in the championship last year. This year, they very well could meet in the Final Four. And I do think that will happen, so I expect Kansas, North Carolina. Between Florida and South Carolina, I really think we're going to get that South Carolina tribute, you know? They got their 93rd win for the coach with 93 points. The championship's on the 93rd day. I think they're going to lose in the Final Four, though. And between Gonzaga and Xavier, I've explained why a lot lines up for Gonzaga. That said, a lot lines up for Xavier, but they are an 11 seed. If Xavier wins here, I fully expect them to make it to the championship as an 11 seed. And then it would be very interesting to see. I suspect North Carolina, I have a feeling North Carolina is going to end up in the championship. I think North Carolina would beat Xavier, avenging their loss to the Catholic school last year. So, we'll see. Again, I'm not watching these games. I'm just going off of the patterns and the riddles and the coding and what they're putting into the games. All I want people to take away is that the games are scripted, and I'm teaching the knowledge how to see. That doesn't mean you can predict accurately unless you have enough info. And for myself personally, who's not watching these games at all, doesn't know the names of the players, you know, it makes it a lot more challenging. But then again, the first blog post I wrote on the tournament was why North Carolina might win this year, and it could happen. North Carolina, always a contender. There's just so many connections with North Carolina and Donald Trump. Trump the Jesuit. Jesuit tributes in the tournament. Roy Williams got those championship numbers. So there it is, Truth Seeker. Until next time.